Thanks everybody for coming. My name is Bill Flora. I'm a designer, user experience designer, and I've been at Microsoft for a long time. I come from Art Center College of Design out of Pasadena, and came right from school right to Microsoft. So that's been my world for about 20 years, and recently just left last year to start my own firm with a couple other guys. I've got a few people here, my support team from Tectonic is the name of it. But really, the story I'm here to tell is a kind of a design story, a thread through Microsoft over the last 20 years, really. So I'm going to take you on the Wayback Machine. And it became an interesting story as of like a couple years ago and last year when Microsoft started to come into its own with regard to design. And I think the interesting story is that it wasn't a top-down, Steve Ballmer is going to have a new direction for Microsoft design. It was really about us designers making it happen and aligning with each other. And so it was a very much of a bottoms-up type of thing at the company. And that created kind of a groundswell, and it kind of created some lasting momentum there. So it's really a designer's story, because as you know, maybe you don't know, in an engineering company, very much of engineering DNA, it can be difficult for designers to do really great work. Because a lot of the work that you do, we have to ship that product, here's a crashing bug that takes priority over your nice fonts in the right place. And so over time, the values started to change at the company. I think Apple helped with that. Other efforts helped where good design is happening. And over time, we started to realize, hey, this is really what people like and appreciate and want. And that was momentum as well. So I'm going to give you a little background for how a lot of that happened. If you're not familiar with it, this is kind of a few screenshots from the Metro. I think now it's called the Microsoft Design Language. But what I think I'll show you is how the pieces that show up in here have really been in the company a long time. And it wasn't until we gave it a name that it really started to take off. We created some principles around what good design is at the company and what our design is at the company, and gave it a name. And that really got a corporate culture to attach to it. Let's see. A lot of folks will think, it came right from Zune. Zune is, it was a little too late in competing with the iPod. But it was really well reviewed on the design side. It was an exciting project to work for. And I think it carried a lot of the values that when Windows Phone was called Windows Mobile at the time, scrambling and looking very old, it's like, Zune's doing well, let's use that design. So we needed to establish what the principles were for Zune, and that's what became Metro essentially. But I'm going to take you even further back to Windows Media Center. Kristen's here today. She worked on that with me way back then. Windows Media Center was an opportunity to take what was Windows and a lot of the problems with advancing design in a big engineering company, big projects, is all the legacy, all the features and things that you have to keep along the way. This was a product where we got to blow everything up and reconfigure it and develop a new UI platform at the same time. And because it was in the living room, and because it was a remote control distance user interface. It had to be simple. It had to be really super simple. And that turned out to be, one of the guiding values now of user experience design, have it be really simple. So it's kind of a forcing function for the whole organization to make things very simple. Some of the other things that we really liked were great typography, keeping things very basic, but also because it was in the living room, we were competing with other things, other television and broadcast network level motion graphics. So we worked to build a UI platform that could bring a lot of motion to the experience. And motion really is interesting, freed us up from having to do a lot of visual tricks and visual decoration, because the emotion that you try and get with like shiny surfaces and glassy buttons and things like that, we could get in a more elegant way with how the user interface moved. So it turned out if you could move this interface, then you can let it be very simple at the same time. And from my perspective, really simple comes down to the content. Just let the content lead the way and let it be the hero. Get the UI kind of out of the way, but get that emotion through things that move. So I'll show you some moving things towards the end of the talk, but it was being in the living room, being able to rethink everything that really started. The same team that developed Media Center, developed Zune, and morphed into the Windows Phone, which kind of became the Metro experience, which kind of ended up into the new Windows. You'll see some similarities here. I mean, this is 10 years after that. Just to be more explicit, with Media Center on the left, there was this thing called Portable Media Center on a Toshiba device. And Jeff Fong, awesome designer, really designed all of these. Started with Portable Media Center, and then we started a new product called Zune. We used the same code, we put a different face on it, and then Jeff thought, oh, let's try big fonts. I'm like, yes, big fonts. No capital letters. Oh, yes. So you get Zune 2 here. It was very bold and hadn't really seen it before. So that kind of piqued people's interest. That got a lot of momentum. Then enter Zune HD. There's two sides to this. The other you can barely see back here, but that feels a lot like this experience that became Windows Phone 7. But again, trying to keep that DNA of very clean, light, open, typographically strong, content-oriented. Same kind of DNA that led us to Windows Phone 7. And because we were very content-oriented, that led us to things like live tiles or bubble the content up to the surface rather than just an icon. Let's allow people to get as much information as they can up front so they don't have to dig in. And that kind of led to the live tiles idea, which was also in Zune HD. So that's kind of the history. But I'm going to take you really far back now. When I started the company back in '92, I was one of 7 designers there. And I did some icons, some toolbar, but I come out of Art Center, big grand projects, and I get to Microsoft, and now I'm doing a dialog box and a toolbar button. Like, oh. However, in Office, some of them live today. If you use Office and you press the indent button, yes, I did that. Thank you. It's still I love it when I use that button. But I want to take you back in 1992. This is the state of the world. This is the state of user experience design. and this is Encarta Encyclopedia. Everything was 640 by 480. I think we had 256 colors that we could use, and it had already released when I joined. But I was even a part of meetings where there'd be arguments over should there be 1 pixel shadow or 2 pixels of shadow around this thing. It was like amazing. You can really get into minutia of stuff. But one thing that we did with Encarta, well, when I first got this, the first thing I did was start to, just in Photoshop, it was called Studio 32 at the time, I would fill in all the lines and borders with white. And everything that wasn't content, I just filled it in with white, just to let the type and to let the pictures and the controls just stand alone and see where they lived with white. And then I could start to move things around typographically and have the typography carry the structure rather than using borders and boxes carry the structure of the UI. And so the result just in 1 year was that. So big difference from something that felt very computery, to something that felt more print-like. And at the end of the day, a lot of things that we're doing, especially with this Microsoft Metro language, is really using just good print design principles and applying that to software. It's funny how you get stuck in this world. A lot of people felt we need borders and boxes to hold things together, but once we started getting more screen real estate and more colors, and then we kind of got freed up from this little blocked-in world. So another version in Encarta, of course, now we have more screen real estate, and it's focused more on the content. We have these modules that bubble up the content, kind of a 30,000-foot view on a given subject. We've got like photos streaming across the top. This is still feeling a little dated, but you can kind of see the evolution. However, different parts of the company kind of grew at different paces. Just like 4 or 5 years ago, you'd still see work like this from Windows Phone. People were still caught in that old Encarta type, it's small space, and yeah, it really feels clunky. So we had experience changing things like this. So when we were brought in to help with Windows Phone, again, just use some print design. We've got more screen real estate, better sensitivity to fonts and white space, and just more comfortable and open. Made a huge difference at the company. These are just some early prototypes that we played around with. And this is the prototype that we shared with the executives. And then Jeff Fong took this and turned it into what Jeff Fong and many other wonderful people turned it into the Windows Phone thing. But we, again, we're using motion. We built this in After Effects. So really we just had an After Effects file and some principles, and they were desperate. They needed something right away. And it resulted in this, like little bits of attention to detail go a long way, little bits of movement. So that was, I think that was a huge step forward. Just to keep, driving the point home, here's a kind of I love this. They finally redid this, and released it a month ago or a couple weeks ago or so. Let's see, can I play that? No, I can't play that. Just a very different philosophy. And there's the skeuomorphic has been a big topic of discussion lately with the folks at Apple leaving, and so it's going to be very interesting to see where they go. But the philosophy here is just around the content. Another example, this was, well, what would we do with Windows if we applied the same clean philosophy? So that's another before and after. I think it is. Okay, pause for just a minute. Oh, that's cool. My computer froze. It's a Mac. I've never had it freeze in PowerPoint. I might even have to reboot. No button is working, so I'm going to reboot and try and entertain you another way. Hey, any questions? Seriously, if anyone has any questions at this point, I'd be happy to. Yes?
You mentioned that boxes and borders were kind of a thing that's what you did to hold things together. You kind of referenced skeuomorphic, and I was wondering if you spotted any trends that, like, these are the things that we're using to hold things together now. We're not really looking forward. There's a lot of trends going on, and I'm curious if you had any particular ones that you're like, that needs to stop.
Oh, really? That needs to stop these days? You know, I'm not that dogmatic or religious about certain. I think some weird directions end up becoming something interesting. So I'm not really for closing anything down necessarily. But I think one of the primary rules of a graphic designer or a user experience designer is to communicate as clearly and best as possible and communicate in an emotional way if that's appropriate. So we've got lots of tools in our tool belt, and using those tools for the benefit of, you know, connecting the message to the receiver, you know, just making communication as clear and direct as possible. Okay, PowerPoint is. So bear with me for a minute. Come on, Mac. I was interviewed by a reporter, and he took a picture of me in my studio, and I had this big Mac, and it like became a big deal. Like, Microsoft designer uses Mac, but we pretty much always used Macs in the office. Yeah.
Skeuomorphic is something that's kind of terminology.
Oh, good. If you don't know what skeuomorphic is, it's really using real world textures and objects in user interface design. Like if I have got a notebook app, I actually put the spirals in there, and Apple's been very fond of it. We've seen it a lot in the past. I think it really starts to feel dated now, but it's using the brushed metals and the glassy types of things. And I think some of it can be pretty cool, but when it's done well, I think it's really good. All right. Before and after, just really good graphic design. It's like, oh, computer mentality, graphic design mentality, using good typography to create structure. Or folks would say, oh yeah, but with these ribbons, how do we do it with a ribbon? And well, you don't really need all those picture icons. Those are there just to make it feel a little better. Let's just get very clean and basic. So if I were to kind of encapsulate this, here are the principles. It's, it's about content, not about the Chrome. It's clean, light, open, clear typography. You can read those. And you know, I added this one at the end, the experience is the brand. I think that's a really powerful message today. It's a message that we use in our studio. And when you're thinking about a brand, the main touch points of a company and a brand these days often are the user experience, what people touch on the iPad. And so we really think about who the company is or what they want to portray and how you can use software to really reinforce that. And that ends up then influencing marketing communications and those more traditional forms of branding. And I think main case in point is Microsoft. Microsoft is all the new stores, the new logo, you know, everything they're doing came from this work now, visually, in the products. And having it come from the products out is a very kind of holistic and grounded way to do it. And that's kind of our approach is to think about the brand through the experience. Why would we want to do this? Well, Microsoft wanted to do it because they needed something to own, something that's theirs. It was very disparate and all over the place. Needed really to feel a little more modern and relevant. The direction was kind of familiar, like some of these things, like with Encarta and other places, had been a part of the company, but so it felt familiar, but it also felt fresh. It helped align all the disparate products around the company, and at the end of the day, it's really about delighting the customers. Those were some of the reasons. What enabled it, I think, is higher resolution, because we could use more print design, greater bandwidth, stiff competition like Apple. I think the company really needed some design leadership. There were a lot of designers, once they saw some momentum, they could say to their bosses, no, I don't want that ugly yellow color or whatever. We really need to go in the direction that such and such is going. Having some kind of momentum in leadership helped bring a lot of the design groups together. And just better tools, like being able to bring motion. We worked many years on just improving this year after year, building capability in the platform, font controls and motion controls. So I'm going to go pretty fast now. I think I'm probably getting closer to the end, but this is some of the inspiration. Just good Swiss design, signage, wayfinding systems. They're solid, grounded, they work well in all kinds of different architecture. It was a great inspiration, just very clean and direct. Great typography. With this type of thing, with so few elements, it's easy to do it poorly. You know, when you just have typography and space, it can lack life unless you've got just the right eye. So that's one of the challenges. This was a vision piece out of Microsoft. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it comes from Office Labs, and it's truly remarkable. That was very influential. So now I'm going to do a quick case study. Again, take you back in the Wayback Machine. I don't know if anyone remembers this. So I'm going to take you through the kind of Xbox evolution of, we called this Blades at the time. And I needed to kind of bring management to a new place. And Well, this was a technique that I'd used in Encarta. Just take people one step at a time, like, yeah, what if we remove that? Okay. What if we move this over here? Okay. And by the time you lead them down the path, that's somewhere they never would have gone, but you lead, I mean, it's a used car salesman technique, I know. But with this, it's like, oh, what are some things we can do? Well, let's bring in some more imagery to this. Maybe we don't need all of those things, and open it up slightly. Do we really need that over there? Let's get simple. Or, okay, we could organize it this way. And that kind of allows us to bring even more simplicity to it. Okay, now it's pretty basic, but it's kind of boring. Oh, big opportunity, Xbox. You're in the living room. Let's bring some of the imagery in. Okay, great. So I can do it with images rather than just lines of, oh, I can keep doing it. And, great, wow, big change from where we were. Oh, we could add a little background kung fu, and ooh, look at that, amazing. In just a few small steps, we've come a long way. And, oh, but we still have these big blades on the side. Do you really need these blades on the side? You know, all I really need to know is there's something over here and there's something over there when it's really simple and I can go left and right. Well, let's just take the blades away and just put content over there. Like, I know it's there, and I don't need to have all the words. And I just thought this was an epiphany for Xbox. But you don't always have your way, and that's where Xbox, the next generation, actually went after Blades, and it's worked really well for a lot of people. Then we said, okay, well, how does Xbox meet this little clean metro world? What can we do to clean this up just a little bit? So we ended up doing this, again, bringing more content to it, cleaning it up a little bit with typography. So then we thought about, well, what would Xbox in the future be? Xbox on a tablet. And this is a vision piece, which is now old. And let's test. Okay. So take some of the flat metro stuff, but put it in a three-dimensional environment. How does that work? Seems interesting to do. Extruded three-dimensional typography. So it's a tablet, so you can move your avatar around. So we like the stage metaphor from the earlier design. We like being able to present content in different ways. Add a little parallax tweak to it, and sometimes it's avatars, sometimes it's just pure content. Let's try like an editorial style presentation. So we're just trying different things on for size. So that resulted in kind of what we see today with Xbox, which is we couldn't be as ambitious as that. There's only so much you can do each year, but it really played a big role in not just influencing like Xbox on a tablet, but Xbox on the console experience as well. And so the end result was something that really felt cohesive across a variety of devices. Let's see, maybe this, no, I can't move the center one animates, but you kind of get it. So this was an example of a vision piece and how it can influence product direction. So at the end of the day, you bring these things together and there's a thread that carries through. There's now a DNA that connects these things. I mean, you can let Office be Office and Xbox be Xbox. It's because it's principle-based, it's big and open and flexible. It's just about clean, open, those same principles. But you can bring different colors, different dimensions to it. Metro really isn't about square boxes at all. That's just one instantiation of it that kind of got momentum. But the intention is that it's a kind of a DNA that allows people to be flexible, but still feels like it came from the same place. So at the end of the day, we really wanted people to say, it feels like the new Microsoft, and that, and I think it's on the way there. So the last thing I show, and then happy to answer questions, is just some of the movement and motion behind a lot of this. Actually a partner of mine, Eric Braff, pioneered. He's one of the first people to do motion and user experience design. He's been doing it for a long time, and it makes a huge difference. So let me. Cool, and that's my talk. And I think I might have extended my time, so if you need to split, I understand. If you have questions, happy to answer questions. Yeah.
You talked about Metro being part of Microsoft brand DNA. I was just wondering, now that you've left, how much is still part of your DNA as a designer? Do you find yourself designing still in this style for your own work now, or are you kind of going crazy with the leather gradients?
That's a great question. I've asked myself that too. Because I've been doing this for a long time, one disadvantage of staying at the company is I'd still just be doing that. So I do appreciate the freedom of trying some new things, and I'm not so religious that it has to be so pure like that. I bring a little bit back in, and but still, at the end of the day, it's still the same philosophy that drives my thinking. Just very direct communication. Let the content be the heroic thing. Yeah, I think our philosophy kind of brought in some like-minded people. So whenever I suggest something like, oh, do a little vignette around the outside, it's not always well received. But I like being open and flexible. Yeah. Yeah.
One product you didn't mention from Microsoft that I believe was part of this movement as well was the original Microsoft Surface.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
So you didn't really talk about touch interfaces influencing the design, but it's probably a big part of it. Can you talk a little bit about how that influenced Vector as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like with Encarta, remote control interfaces forces things to be very simple. And with touch interfaces, I wasn't that involved in that part of the company only until it got into mobile, and Zune was touch a big part of it. But it just made things very simple. There's no hover states, and it forced you to simplify. So, and Surface, of course, had a big surface to work with and kept things open. And so, yeah, big influence.
Did you feel that when you were showing some of the Xbox stuff, the incremental sort of design strategy worked better than saying, here's what it could be in the future, like just making that incredible leap?
That big leap, right. You know, I think there was maybe a 5-year period between the evolution piece we did and the other one. And I think over that period of time, people, great user experience design was more a part of the corporate consciousness, and it allowed you to do a big vision piece that might have been pretty divergent before feel like, yeah, aspirational. The Xbox had really brought in a lot of design talent. So I think it was easier to do something more far-reaching today than it was back then. So I think there are two different strategies. Yeah.
Was Metro and the whole, just everything about it, was that originally designed as sort of a rebranding identity, or was it more for UI? It seems like it's something that's really aesthetically pleasing and lends itself well to user interface, but kind of took over the whole face of the company. Just from the outside looking in, it was really interesting.
Yeah, it was, absolutely came from the products first. Yeah, it came from the products, and then, but there were some things that the corporate communications effort had. They had the Segoe typeface, and well, we just embraced this one typeface just for consistency reason. It wasn't my favorite, but I mean, it was just expedient, and sometimes that's what you need to do in a big corporate and it helped pull the marketing people in. Oh, we're using their typeface, so they feel a part of it. And the Jeff Betcher, the head of the creative marketing brand group there, really loved what we were doing and played a big role in getting it to go around the company. He had tried like 4 or 5 times to really change the Microsoft logo and brand, and was finally successful last year. So good for him. He kept pushing that rock up the hill and made it. You and then you.
So, 10, 15 years ago, in the design community, we couldn't imagine a universe that wasn't Microsoft-centric, where Microsoft ruled like all of the computer, UX, and then like the iPhone came around and started, sliding the iPhone across the table to, the C-suite, saying, okay, we all know now design like changes markets, and design can make the world a better place, and really it's a business value.
Yeah.
And that seemed like, from the outside, like hearing stories of designers at Redmond trying to do things, become frustrated, like the organization, it sounded like kind of didn't get it, and then you're kind of there on the inside. I guess, like, what's it like to live in a world now where like design is really elevated and it's like being integrated into more and more things? And do you think, I'll just ask the Microsoft question, because we hear like stories about like struggle from the top down. Do you think that they really get it? And is it enough? And is it too little, too late, kind of a thing?
Yeah. Oh, what's it feel like when design becomes a bigger part of things? It's great. It's awesome. It's like, because we've been fighting a good fight for a long time, and it's really validating to have it finally, have people finally get it. And Microsoft, it's huge. It's a huge organization, and different parts evolve at different speeds. And I was lucky to find some of the right spots and the executives that really believed in good design, and I tend to gravitate towards those, while others were frustrated. So does Microsoft get it as a whole? I think now it does get it as a whole. I would say last year, maybe 80% got it. Or, now there's still groups that don't get it. It's hard to change an engineering process and a software process. It's not really structured and built around high-end fit and finish. And you have to physically change how you do things to integrate this value. And I just think as the engineering process is tried and true, you got to get really solid products out. It's been harder. But now there are new tools that allow it to be easier. There's new disciplines that have been brought in it, like design development, that are really developers focused on the design. And so slowly it starts to build up momentum. So I think it's taken hold.
So my question is, what do you think the next step is? And to be more clear, I think Metro was sort of, in some ways, was your design thinking at the time when you were at Microsoft.
Yeah.
Now that you're free from Microsoft, or at least you're not associated with it, has it changed for you? Do you have a different philosophy of it now? What's your own philosophy today, and how is it different than Metro?
I kind of tend to gravitate towards challenges. I think doing 3D right is a really big challenge. I think with three-dimensional stuff, you've seen in here, we've dabbled at like 2.5D, and but doing three-dimensionality well, I think it's a really big challenge. It's easy to go way over the top with that stuff, but I think the processors are more powerful now, and so it's not the total like flat pure world, but I think you can do it in a way that is really exciting and aids in usability, and there's a lot of other components to it. So I'm kind of looking more into that space. Yeah. Yeah.
Throughout this process, were you conscious of a more horizontal design process as opposed to vertical?
The horizontal what?
Design process in computer interfaces.
Could you describe that a little bit more, what you're
It
thinking?
seems like we're seeing widescreens, we're seeing content
Oh,
left and right.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, there was a decision point back in Media Center. Media Center was all vertical. We were in 640 by 480, or in a 3:4 aspect ratio with televisions at the time. And then we saw the momentum around televisions going like that. And to us designers, it was like, oh, wow, that makes you really think differently. What if we took this and went like this? And it really makes a lot of sense, but you're not familiar on the web. Everything's up and down. If you try and do a website that's left and right, like timeout. So there was a lot of feeling at the Media Center at the time, like, no, we can't go horizontal because everything's vertical. how could you go horizontal? But there are a few people that believed, and we showed a prototype that people got it, and it just felt great in the living room. But there was a time where we had to decide, are we going to do it? It could really hurt the business because it was kind of new, and but we won support to do it. So there was a definite decision point where we went horizontal. Yeah, and then you.
So as a sound designer, I'm really interested in use of motion. And in your user experience design, do you think of sound through the design process, or is that something at the end you bring in a sound designer and he sort of reinforces what you're already doing?
That's a great question. I mean, with many disciplines now that are coming to the table to create the overall experience, new ones that come to the table tend to be brought in towards the end, and only, now we're knowing, bring in development earlier or bring in these other disciplines earlier. So the earlier, the better. And with sound, it's even more powerful, I think, in ways than movement. Like sound for like full-length feature films, I think it's 50% of the experience in many of them, just creating such the emotion. So yeah, I would say the earlier, the better. My philosophy with sound is to be pretty subtle, since it's so powerful, to use it in the right ways. I thought the Windows Phone did a really interesting job with sound. I don't know if you've played around with that one, but there's some super talented sound folks that there was like 1 or 2 full-time sound people just on all the Windows Phone, and that's the first time I'd seen that effort. And yeah.
Are there techniques that you've used or you've seen other designers use that help sell sort of this design thinking, or more specifically just concepts in a sort of engineering environment?
The biggest tool in our tool belt, in my experience, has been motion to sell. Doing vision prototypes have helped align organizations because of the excitement and motion behind it. And if you do motion right, that really can still, even today, even like some of the pitches that we're doing now, we got to make sure we get some motion piece in there to sell it. It's very powerful.
On top of this question, when you guys do your motion, is After Effects your primary tool for communicating, or do you actually use real code sometimes?
After Effects right now. I'd love to use like processing or other real tools. We're just not big enough yet, and we'd love to get there because it just kind of goes right to the, cuts the middleman out. But still, After Effects can bring you things that you can't quite do in processing, so it's finding a balance between the two. But I'd love to do both. Yep.
What mobile phone do you use?
Let's see. Oh yeah. But I did ask for a new iPhone for Christmas. But I love this one. Okay, thanks everyone. It was really a pleasure.